Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in. It is Thursday, July the 16th. I had to make sure I got the date right. We got a special guest hopping on the show with us here momentarily. But before we do that, obviously we want to roll through and get as many people in as humanly possible. If you guys want to ask questions, you can obviously do that. The website, winningcureseverything.com. Did we do all that? Did we do I'm Gary?
I don't know what you did. I haven't said anything yet.
Okay, I'm Gary.
Okay. I'm Chris, and let's roll. Let's go. You're fine.
Let's roll with it. All right. WinningCuresEverything.com is the website. You can find all of our picks, previews, podcasts, videos, and social media platforms over there. If you are watching us live right now, you are watching on either Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. Michael jumps in on Twitch. He said, "What's up, fellas?" OB Matt jumps in. He said, "What's up?" We're going a little earlier than usual today. We typically do that on Thursdays because I'm in the office. So I can't run late on these days. I got to get the show in. We got to roll with it. So, of course, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, make sure you're subscribed. Go knock it out. Matt said, all my patients have been wanting to come late, so I've missed the show. Well, that sucks, man. I understand that. Apparently, they're not watching the show, so you need to spread the word a little bit better over in Texas where you are located. So with that said, we'll go ahead and get this thing rolling. If you guys want to ask any questions, we've got Chris Fallica, the Bear from ESPN, jumping in with us, and I'll go ahead and give his introduction. You can follow him on Twitter, at Chris Fallica. He is part of ESPN Gameday. He is part of the Stanford Steve The Bear podcast. They talk college football gambling along with another thing. Michael jumps in, said, got an email from the Broncos yesterday informing me they wouldn't be able to host all season ticket holders. Yep, we figured that was coming. They said they were working with local health officials on how many fans will be permitted. Yeah, we're getting there. We are getting to that point. Today will be college football only. We're going to talk college football only today. Michael, thank you for the information. We appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get Chris in here, and we'll start this thing rolling. So, we got our nice ringer sound.
Hello.
Hey, Fallica, how are you, buddy?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, we are fantastic. We're ready to talk some college football, and hopefully you have positive news for us as opposed to all of the other stuff, right?
Yeah, sure, exactly.
All right, so first off, how are the ponies treating you?
Yeah, it's opening day at Saratoga today, so their card is getting underway. It's been a weird schedule so far, but it's going. It's going. We'll see what the rest of the. And you talk about wanting good news and bad news there. Delmar just had to cancel the weekend cards because like a dozen jockeys tested positive. So could have a whole lot of better news everywhere right now.
Well, I was actually reading about that, and it had to do with the locker room at the event before that. Like there wasn't enough social distancing or whatever it was, right? And they say this has to do with like viral load and everything. So it's the locker room was a mess.
Yeah, and they think by just cutting out the weekend here, and basically it would mean you basically go 2 weeks without racing. They think that will be enough. And it actually New York, once they heard about this too, they decided to eliminate anybody shipping in to ride. So New York is doing their part too and trying to minimize the number of different people that are in and out throughout the building.
So you're talking about people doing their part. You're talking about everybody kind of deciding what is best for certain events and whatnot. I want to start us off with this, and it is a very broad, general conversation piece, but with the mess that college football has been, it is a glaring problem that there is not one voice, one overseer. At what point do you think, or will we ever, get a college football commissioner or a college football czar? Same with college basketball, I guess.
It sure seems like a good idea, doesn't it? And I mean, you would think it would just make too much common sense. And I don't even want to say like the NCAA is supposed to be that because they're really not, because they have nothing to do with the college football playoff and they have nothing to do with the AP poll. It's just it's sort of like this governing body in terms of like rules and student athlete like eligibility and all that stuff. But you would think that they would want to have one person kind of essentially what they wind up doing with like the Big Ten and the Pac-12 saying we're only going to keep conference games on our schedule. I think all that really was an effort to try and have everybody answering to the same voice. Whereas you've got the Big Ten schools answering only to the Big Ten, or the Pac-12 schools answering to only the Pac-12, where you don't have maybe the Big Ten, the Mid-American Conference or Conference USA having different guidelines, different testing, different restrictions, different whatever. It's now, at least they know we're operating under the one umbrella with everybody operating under the same set of rules, which as opposed to what we have now, where it's 12 different conferences and a million different voices and no set, nothing set in stone.
Yeah, it just feels like such a disaster because there's so much pessimism, and you hear different things coming from everywhere, right? The SEC obviously wants to play, but they're talking about doing conference games. So, they want to get stuff done with the ACC. They want to get stuff done with the Big 12. The Pac-12 may not start until, almost October. There's no idea what's going to happen with this. And with the TV stuff, it's going to be just a disaster, I would imagine. From you, would you rather do a fall season, or could a spring season actually work there?
I mean, I think a spring season could work. I don't think it's obviously what the schools and the players and the coaches and everybody involved wants. I think they want to try and play football this fall, because I think once you get into the spring, you're worried about. And I saw I think it might have been Bruce Sullivan's story, and I spoke to someone else who used the exact same quote, and they said what you're doing is you're making a 2020 problem and you're carrying it over to 2021, and you're affecting another season on top of that. So I think there are a lot of people involved that really would like to try and not have to go to a spring season. I think in the same realm, you're looking at how many players will decide, you know what, I'm good, I'm going to the draft, I'm not playing. Now, again, I understand that you don't want to make a general policy decision for the entire sport based on what 40 or 50 kids might do and where they might get drafted. But I think that's going to come into at least some thought process, some decision making. Do we really want to have this season where we're having a whole bunch of stars sit out and the backups who we thought were going to be playing in 2021, who haven't played at all, who haven't had a spring season to rep and get set, now they're going to be thrown right into games? Like how legit of a season is that? Again, we're saying that about all these sports right now. How legit of a season, how legit of a title is it? But I think the preference is to try and play this year in some way, shape, or form and get this thing done as early as possible.
Giannini, let's go on and bring you in here.
Yeah. So my question is about game day, and what are y'all even planning for? Are you planning for multiple different possibilities, or is it just one of those things where if there's a season, we'll just do a studio game day show, or will everybody kind of remote from home? What are you guys thinking about what y'all are going to do with the show?
We are planning for basically anything and everything, and I'll answer first. The thing that nobody wants, and the thing that is logistically the most difficult because of the quarantine rules, is doing a Bristol show.
Yep.
Like the ESPN in the state of Connecticut would not want under the state guidelines. Like Desmond Howard living in Florida, David Pollock living in Georgia, Kirk Herbstreit living in Nashville, Lee Corso living in Florida, like coming up to Connecticut from these hotspots, at least hotspots right now. The rule would be that they would have to quarantine for 14 days, which basically would mean they'd be living in a hotel in Bristol, Connecticut for the entire season. So logistically, doing a studio show is the least desired option for everybody involved. But that's come up. We've talked about potentially if we have to do a show the way we did the NFL draft, where we have kind of the different Zooms set up throughout. We've talked about doing shows from the sideline inside the stadium, maybe you have some pregame warm-ups going on behind us. Maybe you do something maybe you have some fans. Maybe you have pockets of fans. I mean, I think there are a bunch of things here. We talked about minimalizing travel, and maybe do we just I know we love to go to the best game of the week, and we like to keep it spontaneous and pick a fresh site every week. Maybe we choose to, in order to keep Kirk and Maria and myself and other people involved in the show from doing a lot of travel throughout that week, maybe we just do it game day from the site of the ABC primetime game. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that we're kicking around right now, and the next couple of weeks are going to really come into. I think everybody's going to come into a little bit more of a focus over the next couple of weeks.
So I've got a follow up for that.
Go ahead.
You have a national treasure on your show in Coach Corso. He is the great concern for all of this with his age and the demographic he is, with the way this virus is. I mean, there's got to be a massive bubble wrapped around that gentleman, right?
Yeah. No, they're really. I mean, we talked about all the possibilities, like the travel of the show, and we've even kicked around, like, for him, like, is it safe for him if he is able to go on the road to even put his head inside of a mascot head? Well, I mean, I can't imagine that's the most sanitary place in the world right now. So, like, do we do that? Do we have maybe just a regular baseball cap that someone goes out and buys? Do we have, like, or do we just keep him at home and have him join us for the final segment of the show and do like a virtual type headgear, or maybe he just puts on a headgear there? But yeah, no, the coach's health and security, any comfort is certainly, if not the very top of the game day pecking order in the list of things we're worried about. If it's not number one, it's certainly like 1A.
Well, that's good to hear, and this is like, and not not to cut his career short by any stretch, but one day, every year I keep wondering, is this going to be the last year we're going to see Coach? If 2020, if this COVID disease keeps us from being able to say a proper goodbye to him, if forever he ever decides to walk away, that'll be the most devastating thing for me. This is how we grew up. This is what we grew up on.
Yeah, it is, and it's all I've known for 25 years, being involved in the show and watching it even beforehand. It's been a part of your guys' life, growing up watching the show as well. So I think we all want to do Coach right, and hopefully things will get better, and we can at least have something close to what we love doing and what we normally do.
You bring up the different laws and whatnot, dependent upon what states you're in. So you brought up Connecticut. Nobody wants to do a show there. But how many different ESPN sites, or not campuses, but studios and whatnot, do you have where, if that is a possibility, you could go there each week? So I know the SEC Network is in Charlotte, and I know that there's a studio in New York. How many?
There's one in D.C. at least.
One in D.C.?
Yeah.
That's where SVP just moved to, the Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon studio. So
That's right. So if you have to do that, would there be one in particular that would make the most sense?
In terms of outside of Connecticut?
Yeah.
I would think, it's just hard, because then you're still dealing with travel. Again, I don't know what I haven't been to the DC studios. I would say maybe the Charlotte studios and North Carolina studios, because at least those people aren't. I mean, I don't know what the travel restrictions are there. But I mean, at least you could potentially have David Pollack drive from Atlanta. It'd be a quick flight, a shorter flight. I mean, I guess in theory, Kirk could potentially drive if he had to. I guess Charlotte would probably be the most logical one, because I don't think there are any travel rules or restrictions surrounding that state right now, at least that I'm not aware of. Again, that could change.
So let's talk about something positive. Let's talk about something good. Let's talk gambling for a little bit. How in the hell are we supposed to gamble on this season right now?
Good luck. I am is, I don't want to say least prepared, or that doesn't sound like, but it's true. I've had such little, maybe not motivation's the right word, but like desire. Like, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea who's playing who. I have no idea when they're playing, if they're playing. And it's like, and God bless the Pick Six previews and Phil Steele and guys like that are all those getting these season previews magazines ready and putting in the months of work for a season that might not happen. And I have such a hard time like really locking in and saying, okay, I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna hit the SEC today. I'm gonna hit the Pac-12 today. Just because I don't. Are they going to play conference games only now? Are they going to add games? Are they going to rearrange games on the schedule? There's so many unknowns that it's like I just it's so hard to wrap my mind around it. But from obviously so many you can't bet on any of these season win totals now because all of the numbers are gone and refunded because the schedules aren't being played as they've listed. Those games of the year props, I'm sure, have all been taken down. You probably still have conference title odds, maybe, and maybe odds to win the playoff. But gosh, it seems like a big waste of time right now to start handicapping a lot of these things.
Oh, that's we are signed up. We are covering college football for Sportsbook Review this year, and we begin in August, and we've been getting previews and stuff ready, but typically we discuss it in terms of numbers. And we have no idea like what we're supposed to do this year. So it's a bit of a disaster. You know, the win totals and whatnot, that's one thing. You know, you're on the ESPN side. Tell me about this. Is there anything going on with bowl games right now?
That's another great question because I think if you're gonna have some of these non-conference teams unable to play Power 5, I mean, some of these games aren't going to count towards wins. I mean, I don't know anything, but I would have a hard time thinking some of these bowl games are going to be played this year. I mean, I would think if we do have a season and it all goes well and there aren't any interruptions and there isn't we kind of get this thing under control a little bit. I think the playoff and your New Year's 6 games will be, and your bigger New Year's Day games will be played, but a game like the Birmingham Bowl or the bowl in Mobile or the Armed Force, which has had trouble with weather the last couple of years anyway. Like some of these lesser games that have like the 8th or 9th team from a conference being involved. How many teams are really going to want to go through that? I'm just spitballing here again. I know nothing, but I can see a scenario where a lot of those bowl games aren't played.
Yeah, no.
Somebody would have to make a decision who gets bowl eligible, because if we're playing 9 or 10 game conference only schedules, 6 wins ain't cutting it. Even 5-5 wouldn't cut it, because you're not going to have 80 bowl teams eligible like you usually do.
No, and I saw that they did say that they were going to allow a couple of wins versus FCS teams to count towards bowl eligibility this year. I think that's kind of a way to help some of these Group of 5 teams that lose a game or two on their schedule that maybe was a possible win. But I mean, again, I don't know what's the trickle down effect with FCS and Division II and Division III. Are they going to play? I mean, you're talking about even more players at those levels than you are at the FBS level.
Hey, Joseph Gomez jumped in on YouTube. He said, all value on the Dogs this year, and make sure you fade the Sixers. And then Matt jumped in. He said the bowl games should turn into skill challenges. Everything from quarterback accuracy, bench press, pie eating, etc. I'd be all right with that.
I like that. That's good. It's funny to hear with the dog stuff, because it's interesting, because I don't know how it will play out in college football or in baseball, but I think what we've seen in terms of like the European soccer that came back right away, where a home field is usually a pretty significant advantage in those matches. At least at the very start of the return for Bundesliga and the Prem and La Liga and Serie A, you saw the better team simply win. Like it didn't matter that a team was playing on their home pitch. Like if they were just worse the better team that was on the road with no crowd atmosphere or whatever, no intimidation factor. Maybe you don't get as many whistles against you on the road, but we really saw the better team just simply win, even if they were on the road. So I'm curious if we will have potentially a similar scenario in college football where some of that home field edge, maybe the underdogs at home, won't be as attractive as it normally would be just because of the crowd and things like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is going to be absolutely bonkers. Hopefully we can get you back in. I'm hoping that they don't put a whole lot on your plate right before the season starts.
Yeah, well, you know what? I hope they do. I would welcome a whole lot to be on my plate right before the season starts, because that means we would have a season and we'd have a whole lot more clarity, and I'd be getting pretty fired up about getting prepped and ready for it.
Oh, same here. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and let you go. We've kept you for about 20 minutes, but we do appreciate you coming in. So
sure, my pleasure.
We will do it again very soon. Hopefully, it won't be as long in between calls as it was this past time. But,
exactly.
Hey, we get busy. It is what it is.
Yeah, we all do. All right. You guys be well, and again, hopefully we'll have some positive news here, and we talk again soon.
Absolutely. Take care, buddy. That is Chris Fallica from ESPN's College Gameday and the Stanford Steve The Bear podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Chris Fallica. Chris, he sounded, a little more optimistic than some of the bigwigs, I guess you could say.
Well, and I've told you this. I don't know how he and I align in our thinking. We haven't talked close enough, but I'll tell you that I think we're definitely getting the start of a season. I've said that with all of these things. They're all going to start because they've got to try something. Where it finishes, where it lands, where it ends up, anybody's guess, baby. I don't know. But I think they're all going to start.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. So
they might not start on time, but everybody is playing one game.
Matt jumped in. He said Murder Hornets every week, and then he said just do what they did in the NCAA games when Corso picked there. So if you remember NCAA 14,
the Murder Hornets have been horrifically disappointing this year. Okay,
yeah, it was like a 1 week thing.
I don't know that I'll be betting on the Murder Hornets right now.
Right? I'd be betting on the favorite, which would be the Praying Mantises.
The Praying Manti would absolutely destroy them.
The Praying Manti. I wonder about their girlfriends, right? That's terrible. That's a bad joke. All right. Well, it's going to be a short show today, but that is all right. We got it in. We want to thank Fallica for jumping in. He's always a good time. We've had him in, God, I don't even know, probably double digits at this point. A lot of time. Matt said the Murder Hornets are a second-half team. God, it seems like everything in 2020 is a second-half team.
Let's hope not.
God bless America. All right, you guys have been fantastic. Thanks for everybody that jumped into the chat and kind of helped get some questions in there and whatnot. We appreciate you guys. Of course, the podcast, make sure you are subscribed and that you leave a nice 5-star review. We would appreciate that very, very much. Everybody go over to the website, winningcureseverything.com and sportsbookreview.com. That is where all of our picks and previews and whatnot are going to be this season, starting in August. So we will begin firing it up here in a couple of weeks, and then we'll go from there. We'll see what the season's going to bring us, and hopefully it will be all good things. You guys have been wonderful. Everybody take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We will see you again tomorrow. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment and